The word was spoken by the mouth of the prophets. Let it be. Times of hard working and poverty of souls. The flesh is at a crossroads. Behind the walls of lies, vices of hearts, the human heart despises the truth. Doomed to misery, blind slaves, systems of hungry spawn. And among all this crowd, nuggets hide in empty apartments on the outskirts of cities, tormented by everyone and at all times, utter the word of life with pure lips. The weak string will sink into the deep of oppression, and after it, a new life will be reborn under the all-seeing eye of God, the Spirit of Truth.
I welcome you to the platform movement to the light. We'll not tell you how to act, how to think and what to do. We'll only give you access to information and how to dispose of it. Decide for yourself. I want to say in advance that you should not look for justice, but you should look for yourself and your place in this world. Because in the world of manipulation and deception, it is difficult to find the right answers. There will also be no answers from our side. Only keys will be given so that you can independently participate in the assembly of the game called life. And today it's time for the 17th series. Ignorance and the illusion of knowledge. A man walks along a well-trodden path, filling your life century with illusions, and it is not given to a person to understand that ignorance, the illusion of knowledge, will cover life. Knowledge is something that is given from the mind. Knowledge is something that doesn't always work. Knowledge is something that can change. The main thing is knowledge is that it can be wrong. Man is a creature in which there is a search for ignorance or a search for knowledge. Search is a blessing because it helps a person to better understand this world. But search is a tool, not a basis. The tools are given to a person for self-realization, but a person needs to know his content before starting realization. The search for ignorance, like the search for knowledge, is only a tool, an instrument of realization, but it isn't an instrument of knowledge. The instrument of knowledge is education. There is a horizon. This tool allows a person to plunge into the inner world, plunge into the self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is the basis that determines a person's being, determines his guidelines and foundations. A person who knows himself strives to increase life on earth, and a person who doesn't know himself surrounds himself with ignorance and destroys it. But a person who is stuck in the illusion of knowledge is much more dangerous, because he covers ignorance with the stupidity, covers it with false postulates that work both for good and to the determinant. The difference between the illusion of knowledge and ignorance is that ignorance only destroys, but doesn't create anything. Illusion can create technologies that have directions both in the field of good and in the field of evil. Technology is good if it multiplies life, if it remains a tool, but technology is evil if it destroys it, but it is covered by necessity, because the illusion of knowledge makes the tool the basis. The world is on the thresholds of illusory happiness, where technology baked by false knowledge will become the basis for current and future generations. This technology will replace real life, giving people a surrogate baked up by necessity and comfort. Be careful, man, cause there is an alien spirit in the illusion, the spirit of death. This spirit will doom humanity to destruction, and humanity talking in lie for its truth. And delusion as a basis will give up its freedom, gain and real freedom. The main thing a person should remember is that there is no slavery more hopeless than the slavery of those slaves who believe that masks will save them from shackles. By the beginning of the filming of this series, a lot had already been said about ignorance and its consonants. As well as in previous programs, it was said about the causes of ignorance and about the people who adhere to it. In general, it would be possible to put an end to this, but still, until a comma is put, since there is nothing homogeneous in the world, everything in the world is closely intertwined with each other, and the illusion of knowledge is the heterogeneity that has hidden in the minds of many people. It would seem that we live in an enlightened age when any information can be verified and rechecked, and for this you do not even need to go to archives and libraries. It is enough to get a smartphone out of your pocket and make the necessary request. But few people are capable of even such a simple action. The fact is that ease of access always has a side effect. It is expressed in the laziness of public consonants, cause if something is easy to learn, then this information is perceived is a lower price than the information that was obtained with a difficulty, and what is easily obtained is rarely checked, cause everything should be in balance. As a result, the reference point of truth or falsehood is the inner world of a person and not the information received. Readily saying that it is profitable for a person at the moment, he will consider it reliable, and what is unprofitable, a person will be skeptical of that information, and even if a person understands with his mind that he is wrong somewhere, the level of mental maturity will not allow him to move further, because our brain works in such a way as a safe energy, and not to spend it left and right. Wasting energy is already an effort of will, which is given to a few. Therefore, we have a society of people who are prey for loud statements but lazy for knowledge, at least it is written. The talk of a fool is like a load on a journey. The wisdom of a fool is like the wreckage of a house. The knowledge of a dolt is incoherent talk. Who laughs at the top of this voice, but the intelligent quietly smiles. The stupid peeps inside through the door. A well-bred person waits outside. And now, I want to know other people who use knowledge for the good. In general, yes, there are such people. And other people who use knowledge for their own enrichment. Of course, there are such people. What is the answer then between ignorance and the illusion of knowledge? And it lies in the fact that ignorance is visible immediately, and it is like rot. It appears on the teeth, smells bad, and you can see it instantly as soon as a person opens his mouth. But the illusion of knowledge is interesting because it isn't a theory, because it has a practical application. The only question is who uses the knowledge and for what. For example, a person has worked most of his life and was able to make a large fortune as a result. In his own eyes and in the eyes of the other people, this person will be smart, because if you are so smart, then why you are so poor? Many say on the other hand, a person can invent a medicine that can solve the problem of diabetes, but this will destroy a multi-billion-dollar business for the production of insulin. Thus, the illusion of knowledge differs from the true knowledge. In that true knowledge solves the problem and multiplies life, and the illusion may solve the problem, but it is primarily aimed at increasing one's own pocket cost. There is the person who will walk bowed down with grief when inwardly this is nothing but deceit. He hides his face and pretends to be deaf. If he is not unmasked, he will take advantage of you. People are ready to close their eyes to look sincere. The main thing is to look expensive and rich. A rich suited eye and a gold watch, these are the attributes of a beautiful life, and some kind of wealth of the inner world, some useful knowledge. Who needs them now? The main thing is the thirst for profit. The main thing is to cut money here and now, otherwise tomorrow more hungry smart guys may come who will find even more cunning schemes for honestly taking money from the population. But what is people fill their heads with knowledge of illusions in every possible way to become organizer and participants of fraudulent schemes, but they are not at all interested in wisdom, because wisdom is primarily aimed at increasing the common good, and who is thinking about the common today? Show me such a fool. Although it was worth remembering that. The glib speaker is known far and wide, but the wary detects every slip. To build your house with other people's money is like collecting stones for your own tomb. A meeting of the lawless is like a heap of tow, they will end in a blazing fire. And this gap is already visible and quite clearly. This abyss has a digital appearance. It would seem that the feature has simplified our world so much, made many things more accessible and convenient, but at the same time people have also simplified it. They have simplified themselves in the sense that they are constantly thinking about how to become rich and not deny themselves anything, about how to get married successfully, about how to make it so that I have everything, and for this so that I have nothing. It is familiar, isn't it? This is the illusion of knowledge, and the main postulate of this illusion is the absolute confidence that everything will get away with it. But it is not so. Everything has weight and a price, and everything always starts with the heart and then goes into words, and then into actions from which life is formed a person. The lips of gossips repeat the words of others, the words of the wise are carefully weighed, the heart of fools is in their mouth, but the mouth of the wise is in their heart. When the godless curses Satan, he is cursing himself. The scandalmonger sullies himself and earns the hatred of the neighborhood. This is the society that we have today, a society that broadcasts other people's opinion, creating the effects of a broken phone, but believing that these are their own thoughts and their own beliefs because it is more profitable and more convenient. I have a society of people, stupid at heart, imposes, say nasty things. People who pour out gabbling bites of bile of a society of people who are headphones because they slander their subordinates if they don't please them, slander their supposedly native people to squeeze their property, slander to tarnish the reputation of other people, to trample him into the mud and on the excitement because the king of the tournament, and people behaving in this way curse their souls because they become accomplices of Satan, because for the sake of money, for the sake of position, even for the sake of some rules, they are ready to infringe on themselves and other people in their rights and freedoms. for the sake of some rules that were lowered to them from above, and to check the rules is tantamount to having trouble, so people close their mouths, pulling masks over their faces, both literature and figuratively, pretending that everything is it should be, but no matter how much the rope doesn't curl. The end is always the same. The only question is on which side of the scales you personally put your life. On the side of illusion or on the side of wisdom? On the side of the evil one or on the side of God? Results. The illusion of knowledge is a fog which can be used both for good and for harm. The ability to disgarnish illusion for wisdom is the task of a person. The purity of the heart is bad, this knowledge is only a tool. A person who lives by illusion will die while lying in a slavery, but a wise person will live because he chooses freedom. The freedom of the wise is the knowledge of his heart and loyalty to God. God rewards the wise with a life that will be real and will continue at the end of the earthly path. And one last thing, remember, one series will not give an exhaustive answer to everything. We did this intentionally so that you would come to the conclusion that there is no one answer to everything, that the answer to everything lies in the answers to many questions. We'll analyze these questions in the following series, which will complement each other, so that you have a complete picture, because the whole, although it is a combination of many details, is not always identical to them, as well as knowledge, although it is a combination of many sciences. It is not a science initially, and in order for certain scientific postulates to pass into knowledge full of meaning and content, it will require making the right efforts. We'll finish this today. Peace be upon you and your home.